Previously in X-Men, while barely surviving a deep space war against a parasitic alien species known as the BROOD, or the sleazeoids, the team is faced with a daunting realization. Although they are each individually no longer serving as host bodies for a brood queen egg, one team member has been isolated on Earth, alone with a team of new mutants. If only the X-Men can stop the transformation of their mentor into a monster. If only the X-Men can save the fate of mankind. I am Jason Lapidus.
I am Chris Sanagan.
And we are Group of Seven Comics. Welcome to episode 82 of our ongoing Tuesday night live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic as we read Uncanny X-Men 167 by writer Chris Claremont, penciler Paul Smith, inker Bob Wiacek, cover date of March of 1983. Chris, my friend, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to tackle this issue. We left on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yes,
a little bit of tangent last week because we went to look at some New Mutants, which is appropriate given what we're going to dive into.
It's been a couple weeks, man.
Yeah. So excited to get back to this saga of the Brood.
Me too.
And I thought, as you were giving the intro, there's like one egg left, and all I could think of it's Sunfire. It's actually Sunfire. We all think Sunfire's a jerk. Does not come off well in those early comics. It's Sunfire.
Right. Man, I wasn't excited to get to read this one after the false tag that the previous issue 166 was the end of the Brood Saga. It's the climactic ending, the double-sized ending issue.
Double-sized.
I thought that Mignola cover on the classic X-Men, or X-Men Classic as it's called, was the best cap off of the kind of thing of the run. There's another episode, But when I actually read 166, I couldn't put it down at the end. I needed to see what happened. And I have some feelings about 167, which I'm glad I have an emotional reaction. And they might surprise you. Or they might not.
I'm keen either way.
Well, the clickbaity title of this episode of our live stream is Perfect X-Men Comic. This issue has everything. Mutants, clones, sleazeoids.
You know that thing?
You're only allowed 100 characters in the title.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go on and just do a whole Stefan bit, but there was
the password is diabetes.
Sleazeoid. Yeah. Just on a side note, I don't know if you have a favorite Stefan bit, but there was one punchline that came up for me that was so transcendently funny. I'm pretty sure I changed my Facebook status. That was my I just changed it. And it was the Jewish Dracula. Jewish Dracula. Do you remember that one?
Maybe.
So it's he was basically doing a whole bit of, it was a Halloween thing, and then you know how they call a Blackula as a Black Dracula, but this one they have a Jewish Dracula. And then Seth asks him, of course, and what do they call a Jewish Dracula? And I'll leave it at that. Okay. I'll see if anyone in the chat pops that one in there, because it was just my absolute favorite punchline. Because there's nothing offensive about it whatsoever. It was just.
I'm so much more impressed with Bill Hader once you told me the story of how he started. Not that was not his path. That was not his objective. And then he's so funny. he's physically funny. His timing is unbelievable. The way he looks, all of it. And so it's just it's extra now. It's extra that he didn't even set out to do that.
Yes. He also seems like a super nice guy and an amazing collaborator. He's one of those people that once you learn the tenet in improv of yes and instead of no.
Right.
you can see who does it so actively. Like Conan does it a lot too, where someone will, like, he starts a premise, they added on something that he wasn't going to do, and he says, yeah, and then he just builds on their thing, and they're having fun playing together. And I notice it almost every time with people like him and Wig, whoever it is improving. But Hader is fantastic at just taking just yes and. He's amazing.
When we were in California in late January this year, it's all we did was the Californians.
Right.
All we did. Every time we saw a new interstate, just kept what? They'd all look at the camera.
Right. So Chuck, hey man, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. Chuck says, I'm sorry, I was unprepared to answer any Jewish Dracula questions this evening. Well, there's only one answer to the one question: is what do you call a Jewish Dracula? And again, it is not. It's set up to sound like it's going to be an offensive answer.
Right. It's set up. That's right.
And to add to the joke of it is that this is one of those times that John Mulaney got the cue card changed from dress to the final performance. So Bill Hader sees it as he's performing, and he doesn't know what the name is going to be. And so he can barely get it out without laughing. Well, he does laugh. He laughs his way through.
But wasn't that the premise of that bit? Was that he wouldn't see what was coming on the cards?
I think it became a thing that they found that the energy of him being a little edgy, a little unprepared, added to the comedy. Mm-hmm. And so once they did it, they tried it to him once, or tried it on him once, and it just him once, and it.
Oh! You've gone muted. You've gone muted yourself. It's okay. We'll get Jason back, people. Don't worry. He'll come back. He's got to tell us the punchline.
I'm here, right?
Now you are.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
So I'm just moving the microphone on my desk, and it's such a sensitive connection. So all those times where I've quote unquote muted myself, I've just unplugged my microphone by sneezing or moving. So it just was that Mulaney like messing with him, and it was part of their dynamic. But there you go.
There you go.
Anyway,
there you go. Oh, you did it again. Stop touching things.
Oh, I'm back.
Now you're back.
I didn't even. That's odd. We got a comment. Stranger here.
Yep.
Conrad.
How's it going, pal? Conrad
did a great interview last night with fellow Canadian comics creator Nick Friesen. Nicholas Astronaut. It's a fun one to mash those words together. And I wound up watching it twice.
You told me about it.
Yeah, there's a couple of Nick's comics. His series Olivia C. Chris, did you not get these at TCAF?
Nope. No, but I do like the Empire Records cover there. That's a great one.
Yeah, I mean Empire Records and Love and Rockets.
Love and Rockets, right.
And there's the CD. Like there's a full band performing songs that the character performs. Like
unbelievable.
It's a whole immersive experience. We're actually, I might as well just say we're having Nick on the 27th. He'll be here for what will end up being Uncanny X-Men 168, because one of his other cover homages is the next issue of X-Men. So next week we're going to do...
What's 167 now?
Yes.
So 168 next. No?
We're going to do King Size Annual 5, which is the Dracula follow-up with Bill Sienkiewicz, which it falls, right about now. And then the week after we'll do 168. With Nick here. And the more I learn about Nick, the more I'm starting to think that we must have fallen out of the same tree.
Okay.
He and I have a very similar taste in 80s memorabilia or 80s plastic.
Winnipeg.
Yeah. Nice, super nice guy.
All right.
Even his Blue Jays hat was like the Blue Jays version of this Leafs hat. I'm like, oh, this guy is...
The Blue Jays version of that hat.
Yeah, it's black with just the blue. Black with just the white parts of the logo. It
Cool.
it just works, man.
Cool.
The Dracula annual is right on topic.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't even realize.
You didn't?
Well
You
done.
said it.
I forgot, but it's perfect. You're right. And Jason Lowe is here. To me, my ex-friends. Let's just welcome Jason. Glad you're here. You're here early for you. So this is lovely to have you here. And it's appropriate, given that we're going to get a To Me, My X-Men kind of moment in this one too. So
Absolutely.
That's really good. If you guys haven't checked out Conrad's channel, Wednesday Night Reviews is the name of his YouTube channel, where he, among other things, interviews comic book creators. And last night's interview, which was live, for me was very enjoyable to catch the part that I caught last night while I was sitting outside of my buddy's house for band practice, and then I watched the rest of it while I was working today. I found it very enjoyable. What do we want to say here, Chris? So this issue, we got the two covers. We've got our Paul Smith, which feels like almost an X-Men homage to the previous kind of Scott walking away from the team, as after Jean dies, and I think it's 138.
There's a Scott carrying Jean one, right?
And there's also the Scott carrying Jean one. So it feels like it's a mashup of those two almost.
It is.
Nicely composed, the whole thing. And then of course we're no longer seeing Mike Mignola covers over on X-Men Classic. We're seeing Adam Hughes, early Adam Hughes stuff. So he goes on to be an amazing cover artist in the 2000s, and this early stuff is really strong. Just different mood than maybe
Totally
where my heart is, but really beautifully rendered. He's super talented.
Anyway. And that X-Men font.
Is this the first time we're getting it? The X-Men Classic?
Yeah.
Such a stretched out. Oh yeah, the other ones were serifed, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head where we're at with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont's adjectiveless X-Men series, whether it's started or not. But that series expands or stretches the X-Men logo to make it take up more of the cover than the classic Jim Steranko designed logo that we have here on the left. And so this might be keeping that brand, the branding between the two, similar. It
looks very 90s to me without knowing the exact date. It feels very 90s.
Right. Jason says, got a chance tonight to listen to you guys while drawing. Jason, if you do anything less than 8 full pages of pencils tonight alone,
during
it was
this
a
stream,
failure. Yes,
we will be disappointed.
Conrad adds, just spoke with Allison O'Toole. That's awesome. Allison is super, super cool. And she's very nice. I'm glad you got a chance to speak with her.
So one thing, you can say that if you want.
Aye. That's a wicked, Conrad.
Hey, we're going to get some bad Scottish accents in this book. Don't worry.
They're coming,
folks. They're coming.
Jason's like, oh, wait, the FF are in this? Oh, everyone is in this.
They're in bed, too.
And they're naked. You're going to see Johnny in his tidy whities.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason's working on the all-nighter, wrapping up
Season 3? Congrats. That's amazing.
All right, let's not distract Jason too much. He says 2.5 pages is cool. Let's get you
talk
working.
less about Jason Lowe.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was, though, the cover, the Paul Smith cover, it feels so well proportioned. Their sizes all look like in the row in the back.
Yeah.
Wolverine is shorter. Colossus is big, but not incredibly huge.
Sure.
Storm is right under Colossus. I was like, this is like the most well-proportioned lineup team I think I've ever seen on a cover.
And Kitty is, again, she's been changing costumes every issue.
Well, there's
sometimes more than once. I was really digging the one she wore last issue with the X on the...
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
On the mask, and then the yellow stripe above the boot and above the glove. I was liking that one. Cool. I'll tell you, I'm reading this run in the Essentials, which are printed in black and white. And when I got to this issue, I did not know what color she was wearing.
Sure.
In the interiors, right? I'm just reading it plain. and I thought she was wearing a female version of Corsair.
Well, that's not far off.
Well, right. So she's got the headband.
Got
She's
the
got
headband.
the thigh-high
That was
boots.
like one of my takeaways from this issue was like, oh, they've Corsaired her up.
Right. I imagine she's just having fun being a space pirate, or
I think so too.
a freebooter.
Freebooter is the word.
So
Like, you know when kids on Halloween go as freebooters? Right?
Right. So I thought, like, oh, but then I see the cover. I'm like, that's not Corsair. That's even if it is. Okay, I haven't read ahead in the interior and color. So even if she is wearing Corsair's version of his costume on the interior, it is better graphic design on the cover to have her in those magentas because she stands out against Colossus.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise, she would just kind of create a dissonance.
And
I love Wolverine's body language.
It's great.
How droopy he is.
It's great.
And I'm noticing in this issue, like Paul Smith, you know what feathering is, Chris?
So, you know, this goes back to Stefan conversation.
Okay, different feathering.
Okay,
so
you tell us.
You know what cross
you know that thing is? Okay, so, so you're in New York, it's an alleyway. All right.
You know what cross hatching is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's, you know, one of the ways that a person renders gradient, right? Not black, not white, but something in between. So feathering is that technique of using a brush and going from thick to thin with the brush stroke, creating a series of like feathers that then can show contour and gradient from black to white or white to black. So I'm looking at these shapes that Paul Smith is using. With black, he's not feathering almost at all. He's not cross hatching at all. They're all just black shapes on white, and it creates like such a smooth contour. And he's like, there's no time wasted. He's getting these books done, so there's no extra detail, no superfluous detail, just moving through them. And I find that interesting as a contrast to the way that Rubenstein or Wiacek inked Dave Cockrum. And how much cross hatching there was, of course, Terry Austin over John Byrne. So it's really a different look now.
Yeah, and even slender Cyclops.
Mm-hmm.
Even the size differences seem realistic between Colossus and Kitty. Like as they constantly have them together, and sometimes she's seen as like half his size almost.
Yeah.
But this is actually very realistic.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
As well, I feel like in animation you can't really cross hatch or feather too much. If you do it slows down. It muddies up the movements of the characters. You want to have these sort of almost like cell shading. This looks more like what an animated or an anime X-Men would look like. And there are several times in this issue I wonder if Paul Smith is watching Japanese anime, that early stuff that we had in North America at the end of the 70s and into the 80s, and B, is he reading manga? Is he getting his hands on some early manga in New York? There are a few faces, and it sings Japanese to me, and I think that's interesting because we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that in X-Men yet. The poses in this Paul Smith cover are mwah. Yeah, I hear you, Chuck, for sure. All right, let's get this rocking.
Let's get into this.
Let's get us out of this. We do not need us. Oh my gosh. And just to talk. Oh, see, that's super cool. That D&D ad, those little model, figurine and landscape things. That looks like it would be so much fun to play. Conrad is yelling Akira. Yeah, there are moments. Chris, have you watched Akira?
You know what? No.
Okay. I know it
involves a motorcycle.
I know that the list of things that I keep telling you need to watch seems to be growing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I think you should put all of them aside and watch Akira.
Okay.
And if you need me to come over and watch that with you,
are you fishing for an invite to watch Akira?
I would just crash and I can bring my DVD, which is not the best way to watch it, but it might be the best movie that you've never seen. Like it's in running. All right. Last thing I'll say about some of these faces is I'm seeing some Barry Windsor Smith, especially in Rain and Danny Moonstar. I see some Barry Windsor in the way that these faces are laid out. Cool. That's neither here nor there. Just outside the town of Salem Center, roughly an hour's drive upstate from New York City. New York City for Jason. Lies Professor Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, a very reclusive, exclusive private academy whose student body currently consists of 5 unique young individuals. They are mutants, gifted or cursed depending on one's point of view, with powers and abilities that set them apart from the rest of humanity. Xavier only recently gathered them to teach them how to cope with their nascent talents, to enable them to function in a world that distrusts and occasionally hates them simply because they exist. Chris.
Yes.
This picture of 3 of them in the window, and then when we go to the next one down below where we see all 5, I will say that is a photocopy of them pasted on.
Right.
That was drawn once, and it was drawn large and then pasted into the window.
It's exact, yes.
I can see the paste lines in the copy I have here. That's really cool. That's fun.
That is cool.
It's not an uncommon thing to do to save time. We have not talked at all about who is going to read who, but we'll just go with it. Ready? Right. Sam Guthrie.
Way to go, Magnum. Look at that man move.
Rain Sinclair.
You think nothing should... No, he says it's Danny first. You want to be Danny?
No.
Am I doing all of them?
Sorry. You're doing all of them. I wasn't going to say anything.
All right.
But Rain's name is the next one would read.
True.
That's the thing. It's like badly laid out.
That's true.
Say it and then move on. So true. Rain Sinclair.
He sure is cute.
Oh, sure. So, okay. Rain Sinclair again.
Yeah. You should not think such thoughts, Danny. They're not proper. He is very handsome, though.
And then it says, of course, Daniel Moonstar. It says also Roberto da Costa. And he looks so little. Like he looks like the kid of the kid of the kid of the group.
Yes.
And which is adorable. I actually like that idea. Danny Moonstar drawing looks great. It's a really nice clear face too. Mm-hmm. And then we get Xian Koi Man. They are not the first to be taught by Xavier, himself a telepath, the strongest mutant mind on Earth, but they may well turn out to be the last. He loves killing groups of mutants.
Loves killing kids.
Loves it. Holy smokes.
This is bonkers.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
This is, okay, it's 100% rad, but it is also just bonkers.
I think we have to just put strategy aside and not critique the way that they approach what they're trying to do, but just enjoy the ride a little.
Enjoy the ride on this one.
Let's march into that. Smash things, and something will happen.
I mean, it's not like they're not unfamiliar with the house.
It feels like it's the underpants gnome approach to solving this problem.
The underpants gnome.
Just, we just show up, chaos, solution.
Profile.
For the X-Men have come home and they're out for blood.
Oof.
Nice demonstration of everyone's power.
What a great 2 pages, though. To open that up. And then you're getting the effect of the bottom, the can and the popcorn flying towards the reader, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
The Goldilocks syndrome, or who has been sleeping in my head? Stan Lee presents the usual assortment of clowns. Claremont, Smith, Wiacek, of course. Glynis Ween on colors for the most part, and Tom Orzechowski and Louise Jones, also known as Louise Simonson, as Shooter's editor-in-chief. Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
I'm glad that Wolverine's claws aren't out, though.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, sure, yeah.
But so anyone who hasn't read further or doesn't know this, like the X-Men don't know that there are 5 kids sleeping in their house.
Right.
They're not aware of this.
Now, one might say Wolverine could have smelled something.
Yeah, or 5 somethings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I like this.
Let's find out more about this
yeah.
case of mistaken identity.
Or whatever it is.
Pick your target. No, that's not it. Pick your target, people. I'll take care of the big fella.
Colossus, look out! Cyclops' warning comes late as Sam mentally ignites the thermochemical reaction, which forms the essence of his mutant power with spectacular results.
It's a good thing I'm pretty much invulnerable as Cannonball. I feel like I just slammed full tilt into a mountain.
Chris, that's really damn good. That's really good.
Thanks. I drive every year down to Tennessee, and I pass through Kentucky. And when I'm in Kentucky, I usually pull over and ask people to talk to me in their local Kentuckian languages, so I can pick up on it.
These kids have guts. They obviously don't recognize us. Could it be that Charles hasn't told them about the X-Men? I wish we had time to explain, but the slightest delay could prove fatal.
Yow!
We mean no harm. Hit the floor. Stay out of our way, and you'll be all right. That's bonkers. I also like this version of Cyclops' I-beam where we see through it.
Yes. And again, it's his. I like the slender. I like the slender clops. Like it's just. It fits him better.
Jason, fight. As a wide beam of Cyclops' optic blast sends the kids frantically diving for cover, Kitty Pryde makes her entrance.
The fight's concentrated downstairs. None of those students know I'm here, and they're not going to find out. I'll phase through all the walls between here and the professor's study. I hope the others beat me to it. Fat chance. What if we're wrong about the professor? What if we're making a terrible mistake?
That's like a good strategy, though. Really, like cause a distraction in the family room area, and then have the stealthy people sneak on in, do your thing. I mean, Nightcrawler would have been an obvious choice to get in there without being seen too, but they don't really play much of his hiding in the shadows power.
No. And the setup here, of course, if we go back a couple weeks ago, that issue is that they believe that because of what that last Brood Queen said, that Charles has been implanted with the Queen Egg. And so they are coming in full force because they know exactly what they're up against.
Yeah. A monster they won't be able to stop.
Exactly. Like that's like, there's no, I mean, they, with the younger students there's some restraint as they realize how old they are.
Right.
But they're still, you're right. It's strategy. Like it's cause and aversion. Can you get up?
Yeah.
Like it's,
80s comics reference here for those who are readers of the Marvel Universe Official Handbook series. I believe this was an image under Mirage. Did you hear me there, Chris?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, because my series started.
You mean Cyclops' nightmare?
Yeah, I believe that this image was the one that was like in her bio. As a demonstration of her power. And I never knew what it was from. I always thought the drawing was really weird because if you don't know the context, it's just super strange.
Totally. And here they call her Psyche.
Yeah, she has a different name to start the series.
Wow. She becomes Mirage? Danny Moonstar?
Yes.
Okay.
That becomes the name that she is known
her
by.
name. Okay.
Yeah, Psyche is short-lived.
Okay.
Psyche is the first to follow Cannonball's example. Her psi power pulls forth the image of Cyclops' most primal fear. His optic blast going uncontrollably wild and him having dental issues. This sudden confrontation throws him off balance, only momentarily, but allows her remaining teammates to make moves of their own. Range shifts from human to wolf, while Roberto transmutes the kinetic energy of the sun into raw strength, for all the good it does him, against Wolverine's enhanced physical abilities and unbreakable adamantium skeleton. Charlie may be robbing the cradle, but he hasn't lost his touch. If these kids had the skill to match their spunk, they'd be dangerous.
Stop.
Karma is the oldest of the New Mutants. She possesses people. What? Lady, get out of my head.
He's breaking my hold on him. C'est impossible. That has never happened before.
I like cartoon-eyed Logan, too.
Cartoon-eyed Logan. I just recently watched, because I've been rewatching the X-Men animated series in prep for X-Men 97, coming later this year, I believe, on Disney+. Shout out to Disney+. Thank you for sponsoring previously an X-Men. I really appreciate it. And on that, I was watching it, and it's like episode 5. So I'm like right at the beginning, and it's the first introduction to Morlocks. And there's that whole, and all I could see was that, you know, she's like, "You have scorpions on you, scorpions." He's like, "Oh, scorpions! Oh, scorpions!" And but it's that he's saying, "Get out of my head, lady." Is the whole it's a good one, especially for someone who we all come to realize 100% has PTSD. Wolverine,
yes,
right, because of everything that's been through his life. So
it's
a good. It's effective against him to a degree.
Yeah,
playing around with his mind muscles,
or at least go in that direction for a minute, to just delay him. Yeah. All right, turn that page, and I'll show you what I mean. What was that?
Smell like a Morlock. So far, so good. Darn it. During our final battle with the Brood, their queen boasted that one of her royal embryos still existed. Wooly figured it had been implanted in Professor Xavier. If he's right, when the thing hatches, it'll absorb the professor's psi powers and become virtually unbeatable. It and its children will prey on the human race until they overrun the planet. The Brood instinctively seek out genetically superior hosts for their eggs. Oh gosh, could that be why those kids are here? To host queen embryos as the X-Men did on Sleaze World? There's the professor, and he's human. Oh, thank heaven. I don't have to shoot this ridiculous gun. Hey, wait a minute. How come he's asleep? If that scrap in the living room wasn't enough to wake him, my thoughts should have done the trick. I'm trying to shield him like he taught me, but I'm so excited and scared I'm probably doing a lousy job. Professor?
You should have heeded Wolverine's injunction, child, and fired. Your hesitation will cost you, dear.
Oh, no.
So it's that first drawing where see all that feathering, like that's where you see it first used in the issue. But that looks to me like some anime.
I totally agree. As soon as you said that, and then we turned to the page, absolutely.
Any of those kind of villainous characters like would make those faces in the cartoons I watched as a kid. It feels like right out of it. I also absolutely love this page that for whatever reason, like using the screen tone and putting Kitty all in the cyan in that second panel to help us differentiate between the foreground and the background. Her costume, I'm gonna just say I really do think Paul Smith was going for just making her look like Corsair, and the colorist just wasn't having it.
Yeah, the puffy sleeves. Absolutely.
She looks just like a sidekick to Corsair, which I think is adorable. Have some fun with it, So I think that's really cool. I love that angled yellow graphic like background and the third panel that she's got there. How looks like it's sort of the light coming into the window and sort of cast against the angle that she's approaching the professor. It's really nice, really readable, and it feels like I know the space, and just excellent. I'm digging it. He's great.
It's interesting, I made a joke about the gun, but I mean, I think what it does really does here is Paul Smith's work on this gun to bring it out of where Cockrum designed it, and we all like, this is straight, and so he puts it in his, and it just looks so awkward. Like, I mean, but I think not because Smith draws it that way. It's because he's made it more pseudo-realistic to fit the look.
Yeah.
And so it just further demonstrates how, like, what the heck was Cockrum thinking on that particular design?
Okay, I agree with you mostly. The way I think of it is that Cockrum's way of drawing it didn't clearly communicate the shape that it actually was. It was more like an abstract shape. And when Smith draws it, it's very clearly an interpretation of Cockrum's design.
Yes.
But even more so, I now understand how this exists in a 3D world.
Right.
I can feel its weight. I understand where, like, where the round part is, where the vein, where the veiny part is.
Oh,
Like,
that veiny part. Going to the head. Making its way, growing itself.
Okay. But this gun, although it's bonkers, it at least makes sense to me in 3D when Paul Smith draws it.
Right.
When Cockrum draws it, it did not make sense to me at all.
And I guess that's what I mean, though. It's like it does make sense, but then you think of the source material and you go, "What the heck?"
Yeah, it still begs the question: why?
Why exactly?
That sound. Okay, go ahead.
You're gonna be
Go ahead.
wondering. That sound coming from upstairs.
A blaster. Kitty.
Don't worry, Shan. I'll handle this brute. He owes me a rematch.
Just before, like, this Wolverine getting punched in the face, I feel like that's right out of so many other artists who have drawn Wolverine getting, like, that feels like a very timeless. I don't even know who that looks like. There's some Art Adams in that, maybe, or no, Michael Golden, maybe. It just feels like a very modern Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else would draw the butt shot of two characters in one panel? I don't. That's like no one. This is no one's first choice for how to draw Sunspot tackling Wolverine going up a flight of stairs, but it reads.
Oh yeah.
Which is the main thing, right? Does it make sense? But it's like the last choice on the list. Nice try, boy, but no cigar.
Nice doggy, good doggy. Much as I love to stay and play with you, duty calls are fetusam.
In a burst of flame and brimstone stench that leaves Rain choking and coughing on the floor, Nightcrawler teleports from her to her friends.
Ouch.
Bonk. Yeah, it's good.
One thing I do like about just the action, just the way it kicks off, is that so we went over the New Mutants graphic novel and issue 1 last week. And they really are, they're really trying to figure out what they are. Jean has a bit more experience. So does maybe Cannonball a little bit. But they're still pretty youthful, pretty naive about the things that they can accomplish in this. And so this suggests that they've learned a little bit. They've spent some time in the Danger Room or whatever, because that was in the last issue. But like they jump right into it.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
And I actually I found it really energetic and really appropriate. Even though we kind of come from this space where they're really just learning about their powers, like they try it. They try to give it their all, and which makes me think of them automatically as heroes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they really do. Sam doesn't waste any time trying to take out Colossus. They all try. They know they're probably overmatched. They still try.
Sure.
That's right.
This takes place with around issue 3 of the New Mutants.
Okay, all right.
So they had a few months to.
Right. Okay, so that's what I'm.
Shit.
Yeah, I would imagine so, but it really does. It treats them as a heroic team. It's great.
Agreed. But then, Kitty. Greetings, X-Men. What a pleasant surprise. I have long hoped for such a meeting, but despaired it ever coming to pass. You need not fear for the youngling. She is beyond help. Fear, rather, for yourselves. The X-Men have seen this before and undergone it to an extent. But time and experience have not diminished the horror, as this man they know and love is transformed before their eyes. They do not act, but merely stand, watching in mute disbelief. In a twinkling, it is over. And this looks like some crazy anime monster. You know what I mean?
That is, I think, like of the 80 plus issues, must be like the most terrifying panel.
Yeah.
It is.
Charles Xavier is no more. In his place stands a young queen of the brood. Does my form displease you, X-Men? Yuck.
Yeah.
Even the choice for that panel, third panel on the left page, where Xavier is on an angle, just like make it askew, like give us a Dutch angle, show us that things aren't right. Oh. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's great, but it's
yeah. If so, that can be speedily remedied by your own metamorphosis or your deaths. To coin a phrase, wanna bet? Sploo!
Sploo! Lennon's ghost.
I love the change of perspective to give us like the distance shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Characters like rocketing across the property. That's great.
And it's also, again, this idea that like they're not holding back.
Yeah.
No, he blows that queen out of that house.
Yes.
A brood queen would arrive too late. The boy who attacked me looked as young as I did when I joined the X-Men. I hope I did not hurt him. The creature is not even stunned. I must not let it escape.
How will you stop me, human, when my mental powers enable me to read your every thought to counter your plans at the moment you conceive them?
Were we seeing things? Did Professor X turn into some kind of monster the same kind we fought before?
Stay out of this. You kids, we'll handle it.
Forget that, Buster. Who do you creeps think you are anyway?
The X-Men.
But you're supposed to be dead. There, Cyclops, by the tree line. So they have been fighting Brood in New Mutants number 3.
So they do take on the Brood in number 3. Okay.
I kind of wish we had read that. Who's running this show? I mean, come on, people.
Jeez.
What are you doing? Your cause is lost, X-Men. For all the vaunted strength of his armored form, Colossus could no more prevail against me than Cyclops, nor will the rest of you fare any better. If you would live, I suggest you flee. Sounds like sensible advice. The kind I've been ignoring since I was born. We've come a far piece of the... I'm having trouble reading today. We've come a far piece for this scrap, sleazy.
That, by the way, what has to be my favorite Wolverine panels? He's leaping over on him in midair.
Yeah.
To then project forward.
Yeah, like Mario when you're playing a game and you jump on top of
turtle shell. It looks awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
But it sets up, right? This is a leapfrog moment.
Yeah. Which looks like that.
And now, in 2023, or let's actually say in 1993, this would not be considered maybe to be like a Fantastic Wolverine panel.
Right.
Because this had already come and people had built off of it. But I feel that this is the next step in the evolution of the language of Wolverine comics.
Okay.
Starting with maybe Miller's, obviously Cochran and Byrne drawing Wolverine leaping in various directions, but Miller does one like this, where it's one claw up and one leg bent, in the Wolverine Limited series, and he's coming right toward the camera in a long panel as well. It's not rendered nearly as nice, probably because the inker choked on it. Slamming some Rubenstein. He doesn't add anything to that particular panel. It looks like half done. But I feel like this is then taking the language of Wolverine that has existed so far up until 1983, then delivering an absolutely iconic panel up to that point in time. And then everyone who draws Wolverine after this builds on this as part of the language of what goes into a Wolverine comic.
Sure.
You know, like just other iconic ones, you know, you could just say obviously the John Byrne, Terry Austin panel of like, now it's my turn coming out of the sewer. Like Wolverine coming to get his revenge is like a huge one. You know, Wolverine popping his claws in people's faces is like each of like the iconography, the visual language of how you draw significant Wolverines. Silvestri will do something like this as well. Alan Davis will add to this. And then I guess the height of it might be Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. At the end of the 80s into the early 90s, sort of cements all of the rest of like what's needed to make Wolverine reach legendary status, and like visually, like as a series of icons in a language. But this to me is a huge piece of that, and I love it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a milestone, I think.
Yeah.
It really because again, having the benefit of having gone through these back to back these issues, this is 100% a leap forward. And I don't just mean that because he's leaping. I'm just saying that because it is for sure a milestone in how we now, you know, in 40 years later, have come to, you know, believe how and become used to how Wolverine moves.
Yeah. And like what your goal should be as an artist trying to draw Wolverine, like the next person tries to up the ante and draw one better than this, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah,
but there's
Gauntlet thrown down, right? Like,
yeah, okay. Gauntlet is thrown down. Agreed. Super cool. I love it. Anyway, there you go. Great Wolverine. Just to read this sentence as it's one, as one. I'll just go back and read. We've come a far piece for this scrap, sleazy, and we don't intend to lose. Razor keen adamantium claws pop free of their housings. He means to bury them in the young queen's hearts. Plural, by the way, hearts.
Interesting.
But at the last instant, too suddenly for her to react, he shifts targets, slicing her deadly stinger. Hey, you notice that lettering just changed?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I wonder if it wasn't in there originally and they just expected the reader to see that he was cutting her tail.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, just a little more explicit, please. Because that is not Orzechowski's lettering.
No. And this is also just in terms of the story. This is something we've seen before when he was on the Brood planet, or
Sleaze World.
He takes down one and cuts that stinger right off.
Yeah. So there were a group of people in the bullpen at Marvel in the offices in New York that are affectionately known as Romita's Raiders, and they were pencilers and inkers and letters on hand in the office that were working the 9 to 5, the day job, on salary at Marvel. And when pages would come in and needed a touch up, instead of sending it back because of deadlines, you just fix it in house. And this might have been a job by a Romita Raider,
AKA the sleazeoids.
Fiend! For that I will rend the flesh from your unbreakable bones. I will feast on your living heart. Ah!
We have made a terrible mistake, fighting those who came to save us. Perhaps I can set things right by possessing the creature. Its thoughts as alien, as evil as the one we fought earlier. They are more horrible than I can bear. No, it is reflecting my attack back at me. Ah!
The wound will heal, but it weakens me. I must find a place to hide and restore myself. Let them think victory is theirs. They will soon learn the error. Eh? What is that?
The name's Binary. I hate to disillusion you, monster, but from us, there's no escape.
The sky! It was clear a moment ago. My doing. Storm! The natural elements are mine to command, Brood Queen, and from them I have conjured the ultimate blizzard. It's ice cream.
Crispy
with peanut
crunch.
butter.
Before they
Crispy
remove
crunch.
it from the menu.
Cloud and fog to disorient you. Wind to move where I wish. Snow and ice and cold to freeze you to the marrow. No! Who is... It's still Storm speaking, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
You yourself named the terms of our battle. To the death. Only that death, evil one, will be yours. It's crazy, like the most powerful two are like, we're just waiting, you know? Like the heavy hitter was always there.
Right, absolutely. Nice work, Aurora. The queen isn't moving. Is she dead?
If she isn't Kurt, she will soon be. She soon will be. I could have slain her with a lightning bolt, but I could not bring myself to do it. No shame in being what you are, darling. I'm the killer of this team, remember? Not this time, Wolverine. I was the first X-Man. It's my right, my responsibility. I like that angle, too.
Yeah, it's good.
Unusual. Forgive me, Professor. If there was any alternative, there is none, Scott. Professor? Yes. Mental transformation. Incomplete. Been resisting all my might. The shock of Storm's assault enabled me to gain upper hand. Eventually, though, Brood persona will overwhelm me. That must not come to pass for the good of Earth, of humanity. Kill me, Scott. I beg you. You heard the man. I also heard Phoenix play this riff before she died. Buster. Mr. Buster. I never had a chance to save the woman I loved. I'm damned if I'm going to watch Charles Xavier go the same way. So long as there is hope, no matter how slight, the X-Men fight to preserve life, to create, rather than destroy. Any objections? Lots. None.
So that's Cyclops. Wow. That's, by the way, I know it's just a one throwaway line.
It's
Any
the
objections?
best.
Lots is wonderful.
It's the best.
It really is. He's so, and I love how quick he is to, I beg you. You heard the man.
Yep.
My claws are already halfway through his throat.
Well, it needs to get done. He knows. You got to rip that Band-Aid right off, even if that's Band-Aid is someone's head or jugular. And I also like that that Wolverine is, we've said this now for 25 issues. He's now in a peripheral leadership role. Since he took on that brown suit, he's been actively at the front of the group, giving his 2 cents, offering guidance, but still following orders when it comes time. He objects to things, but doesn't necessarily let it go to blows or make it personal.
Yeah, and we get a little bit of that too within that first panel when Storm's like, "Why I couldn't bring myself to kill it," because that's been a very constant theme from her and her character. And he's like, "That's all right. That's behind us now. There's no shame being who you are. I'm the killer. I'll do it."
Yeah,
it's good.
It is totally. Later, aboard the Starjammer in Earth orbit is a panel composition that I don't think anyone else would ever do. You have the whole panel. Let's make the guys take up the exact same space.
Yeah, super close.
It works.
Father and son, one corner of the panel.
It works. The professor has been under Sikorsky's metascanners An awfully long time. I wish there was some news.
Be patient, Scott. It'll come.
I know I'm not chasing waterfalls, but am I chasing rainbows, Dad?
Stick to the rivers and streams you're used to, Scott. Does that make a difference?
Not really. Sikorsky, Dr. McTaggart. Is it over?
Over have begun, Cyclops, we barely have. They cannot reverse the metamorphosis, but Sikorsky thinks he can take the tissue samples collected from Charles when he was last aboard and clone him a new body. Then we transplant his mind from one to the other. So matter of fact.
Cyclops,
Sorry, I love it. He's like, we think his body's dying, but we can clone him. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And transplant his mind. Cyclops' line should now be, hold on, there's no fucking way this is possible, is it?
Although, back them.
Like, I know this is a Marvel comic, but what? Is such a thing possible?
Long shot is choice, there is none. Permission given, procedure begun has. Also, is Moira wearing like a really cool special spacesuit?
That is a very sterile, I think, version of a surgical. Like, it's her scrubs.
Yeah, I guess.
Which is, you know what this is? These two panels.
Is that she don't want no scrubs. Really,
this is the TLC panel.
This TLC thing.
How many more TLC references can we make on this page?
Pretty sure that's the only two I know.
Yeah, same here. All right. Nearby, in another ward of the ship's medical bay.
Behold, Liana, our sleeping beauty at last awakes.
How are you doing, Kitty? My big brother and I were beginning to wonder if you were going to stay in Dreamland forever.
Peter, Ileana, oh gosh, you're all right. I'm all right. This is great.
I share this vigil too, kitten. Yet your thoughts are of your best friend and the man you believe you love, where once they would have been of me. It is only natural. Change is an essential part of nature, and this, one I have long expected. But now that it has actually happened, why do I feel so alone?
It'd only be better if Stevie Hunter was also there. And Kitty could be like, Stevie's here too.
Jason is in on they're ore scrubs.
Oh. Yes.
Or are they?
Oh, are they?
Chuck says my favorite line from Rushmore.
Well, it's the little choke that Bill Murray does after that, right? Like it's caught in his throat. Wonderful.
I guess that's how you pronounce that word. Wind Rider, stop beating yourself. Damn right. Okay, no more of that. I had no right to assume the role of parent, though I did so gladly. But I coped before, albeit in blissful ignorance, and will do so now. Kurt? Am I intruding? By the way, like very Byrne-esque shipscape there.
Tech.
Yeah, that's some Byrne Austin tech.
Totally.
Nice to throw out the we're gonna move into some heavy detail rendering. Like let's get this stuff flex a little bit here, save it on another panel, but flex for a moment.
Totally.
Never diz, lady. Your presence is always welcome.
Flatterer.
That's me, the silver-tongued blue-furred devil.
Whose delight is in making people laugh.
Some more than others, it seems.
Problems?
No more than I expected. Nothing I haven't experienced before. Y'all believe this view?
I can see my mountains.
The jury is still out on whether or not they'll accept me. It's one thing to watch someone like me on a cinema or television screen. Quite another to share a dinner table with him.
Kitty was frightened of you at first. She got over it. So will they. This waiting was driving me crazy. There was only something I could do. In many ways, Dad, Charles Xavier is as much of my father as you.
I know. I envy him. But for the hand he had in shaping your character, Scott, and making you the man you are today. I owe him a debt I can never repay.
And what are your plans? Will you remain on Earth?
For a while, there are people to see, years to catch up on. But those years are the main reason why, in the end, I'll return to space. I've been away too long, Scott. This isn't the world I remember. I'm decades behind the times, yet centuries ahead of them. Christopher Summers, Major U.S. Air Force, is no more. I'm Corsair. Earth isn't my home anymore. The Starjammer is.
McDrone says, this art by Paul Smith is fire. Probably the best part of the Claremont run are these issues up through 175. I love that different people have like their thing that they love.
We're gonna get there,
You know, whether it's people loving Cockerman, there are lots of fans, or
Yes, there are.
the Byrne stuff, which is my sweet spot. I'm loving the Paul Smith change, especially, and he's never been my favorite artist, but he's always been one that I find very, very pleasing to read.
Totally.
I enjoy it a lot. So glad that you're digging it too, and I'm hoping we get a chance to show lots of people Paul Smith comics they had not seen, and so that they become as big fan as you are. When you leave, will you take me with you?
If that's what you want, then gladly. But in the meantime, I've run some checks, and your mother's folks are dead. Mine are going strong. Interested in meeting your grandparents?
I have grandparents?
Most everyone does, you idiot.
What are they like?
Only one sure way to find out.
You bet I'm interested. Just try and keep me away. Wouldn't think of it. Nope, that's yours. Just try and keep me away.
Yeah, wouldn't think of it. Right now, though, you two, big and grown up, to give your old man a hug. Oh,
Yeah, sweet.
yeah, it's a great moment. Great moment.
Totally.
Grandparents, are they mutants? Who knows? Let's hope.
Drone says, thanks for your input. X-Men has some of the best artists, no doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, we're in for lots of treats. Chuck adds, I've always loved this hug in the last panel. I only just realized Scott has 6 fingers.
He's
Hold on, Scott.
Christopher
Hold on.
Guest.
Hold on, Scott. Let me take a look. Okay.
Well, on the screen, he has 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to check something else, though.
no, it's 5, I guess. They're just
well,
oddly spaced.
They are, but I was also here. I'm just going to change the view for a second. So I, of course, have my reference, right here.
Oh,
Chris.
sure.
And I was thinking maybe this is on the back. It's not on this figure, but I can't explain. Yeah, let's chalk it up to an error, because that is too funny.
That's
6 fingers.
Too good.
Yeah, it was it's that big a hug that there are more fingers than you need.
Exactly. You hug someone really hard and it means a lot, and you grow an extra finger.
Yeah,
That's what it means.
that happens to me regularly. I'm just looking on this line art because it is such a detailed thing, and the way each of those fingers or fingies is rendered, like they're not muscles on the back. None of them are. Like it's not another thing that they're all in the shape of fingers. And maybe that thumb comes round, but no way. Maybe. Not that much. Nah. No, come on. It's 5 fingers and a thumb. That's great. Good eagle eye. Whoop, did we just lose Chris? That's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm so sad that he's gone. Let's see if we get him back. Actually, Chris, stay gone. You're fired. No, it's 5, but I'm assuming that his thumb isn't as long as his index finger. Yeah, fair enough. What happened?
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea.
All right. Maybe I booted you out. That's cool. Let's add this
back.
in. Okay. I like a little hiccup here. There.
All right. It was actually my 6th finger. I hit the escape button.
Nice.
6th finger.
Nice.
All right.
Good hug. Moving on.
Do you want to be...
Corsair!
So much for tender moments. What's up, Raza?
We have a guest, Christopher. So, okay. Yeah, that's a great voice. That's Gladiator, head of the Landra's Imperial Guard. What's he doing here?
Good question, considering he swore never to walk these decks until he'd seen the STARJAMMERS dead or enslaved. He isn't a man to lightly break an oath. You're a long way from home. This is a social call or business.
Pirate! I demand to see Magistrix Empress Landra at once.
On my ship, Lord Praetor, you do not demand of me. You ask.
Thou hast ere been ill-mannered, cousin. Have a care, renegade!
We like you too, Imperial. Care to argue point?
Another time, Lady Hepzibah, with pleasure. Corsair, I crave an audience with my Empress.
Oof.
Hey, man, look, I mean, this middle, second panel on the left, again, is this not right out of, like, Japanese style? Like, the faces, a little bit of the proportion. It looks like Paul Smith is reading some manga.
Robotech.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And it's not a bad thing at all, by the way.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
I love it. Like, bring some other influences in. And put it through the Paul Smith filter. I'm digging it. Neat.
Sikorsky's race, the Cryolite, are renowned for their medical skill. If even he is doubtful, Charles's hopes are slim indeed. Ours, it seems, is a love forever sundered by circumstance and duty. Him to his school, mine to the Shiar. And what of that galaxy-spanning empire? My sister, Deathbird, was promised the Shiar throne for surrendering me and the X-Men into the Brood's clutches. If they did not betray her, she's Empress now. Have I the stomach to lead another rebellion?
Magistrix, I bring grave news.
I've guessed it, my friend. My sister at last has her heart's desire. Perhaps we should leave her to enjoy it in peace.
There will be no peace so long as Deathbird rules. She is unfit, Lalandra. As mad in her own way as your brother Deken.
We are, I fear, a mad family. It simply hasn't touched me yet.
There is more. Upon arrival here, I unintentionally came in conflict with the Fantastic Four. I later learned that they had recently encountered Galactus. Magistrix, the Shatterer of Worlds, has returned to Earth to die.
Then his threat is finally ended?
Would that it were. With the intervention of Reed Richards, Galactus was restored to health, given a new herald, and set free.
That meddling, unmitigated fool!
Before we go to the Baxter Building, Jason says, one of my proudest comic moments, having Corsair call Gladiator a space pig. Nice.
Nicely done, Jason.
He is a space pig. Especially from a freebooter point of view.
Freebooter, for sure.
And Chuck says, I'm not the only one who hears Raza with Christopher Plummer's line reads from Star Trek 6, Undiscovered Country. Am I? Probably in the world, no. But I have to admit, while I was reading it did not cross my mind. Although that is one of my favorite Star Trek movies. And Plummer is definitely a highlight in it. Was it called? Yeah, it is called Undiscovered Country, I think. And that's a good casting for Raza too, making him.
Well, it's that
Chris Plummer,
right? Chris Plummer, Shakespearean.
Have you seen that one, Chris?
I think I can picture it. Maybe I have, but I can picture it in my head. But.
So it's the old cast.
Yeah.
In their last solo movie,
Before
and
Generations.
yeah, before Generations, and Kirk, and I believe it's Kirk and McCoy get charged for murder and have to go to a like Klingon prison planet, which I think is called Ruopente. That name just came to me, and so there's a fun like a prison, prison escape story, and there's all the political intrigue of like an assassination, and the Kittimer massacre is part of it, or is like set up. Anyway.
There you go. Oh, Jay, you there? Jason,
my back.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. And Kim Cattrall is in it, and she played
a sexy New York Klingon,
a Vulcan lieutenant.
Oh,
the bridge, like helping Spock with the murder mystery. It's good. It's a good one. Actually, I'm really in the mood to watch that now.
You know what? I'm gonna watch that right now.
Yeah, that's why I unplugged. Is I was dipping out to go watch that movie.
That's right.
All right. New York City. New York City. The Baxter Building. Home of the world's greatest superhero team. That is the lamest Baxter Building I've seen in a long time, by the way.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Agreed.
Chuck adds, the costume designer from Star Trek 6 100% was an X-Men reader. Oh, really? That's cool.
Meanwhile, in bed.
You are at this moment still reading.
Oh, I am. I know.
Empress Shi'ar of that. Yeah.
Reed Richards, leader of the Fantastic Four, arise to hear our words of royal judgment.
Good grief. Oh, it's not read like that? It's not a...
No, it can be.
It's not a... Good grief. Or was it Sue yelling? Who knows? Don't be alarmed, Sue. It's merely a holographic projection. A three-dimensional image. He does not know what a hologram is.
Exactly.
He's mansplaining what a hologram is.
He's mansplaining again, that Reed Richards.
We are Lilandra, Magistrix Shi'ar, and we have been informed of your crime.
Crime? What crime?
No, Susan Richards, that your Reed Richards mansplains to you that Galactus is the enemy of all that lives, for he destroys those most rare and precious of resources, planets capable of supporting life, and that by saving him, you have branded yourselves his allies. Should he consume any such world known to us, you will be in part responsible for that Holocaust and will be held accountable for it to the fullest extent of Shi'ar law.
Reed, we heard Sue Crat. Holy cats!
Stand fast, John Storm and Benjamin Grimm. It is past time that the people of Earth realize they do not stand alone in the cosmos and acknowledge their responsibility to their fellow sentient beings. Consider this fair warning, Terrence!
She's gone. Good riddance. But there you get a picture of Johnny Storm and his tighty whities.
Yeah, Johnny's like, geez, Sue, but they're both like,
And we got to add to this, and Ben Grimm just wearing a belt.
Damn it, Ben. He's like, what? My junk's different now.
He's just got on the black stripe of a belt.
The belt keeps the junk in place.
This is where the colorist has to really spend the time to get that detail right, because if you don't make that piece either white or blue, it reads as Ben Grimm wearing a belt and nothing else.
It's my bedtime belt. What? Everybody knows I wear a bedtime belt.
This issue does have everything. It's unbelievable.
It really does. It really does.
I do like, as like sort of continuing the drama, the soap opera of it. Like now it's setting up that maybe the X-Men have to play some kind of role between two parties where they don't want to get involved. Like they got to get between the Fantastic Four and the Shi'ar. And that's kind of either taking one side or the other or neither. It's interesting. Jason says it's a naked party. Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to the phrase Fantastic Four.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
As Lalandra's image fades from view on Earth, so too does the armor created by the Starjammers' hollow system to clothe the image. And by the way, a hollow system is a system that creates a 3D image.
Stop mansplaining stuff to us, Reed Richards.
My thanks, Corsair. I trust Dr. Richards was suitably impressed. Not that I can do anything at present to make good on my pledge. Once again, I'm a shadow princess, a woman without a world. There are worse fates. Hey guys, did you miss us?
Have we got a surprise for you? Greetings, X-Men and Starjammers.
Do we do good work or what?
Hello, Lalandra. Professor Xavier, you're all right. In fact, Scott, I am better than ever.
Don't overdo it.
I'll take care, don't worry. The reason I could not walk, as some of you know, was that my legs had been crushed beyond all possibility of repair. But as you can see, my new body is in perfect condition. My dear friends, Moira, Sikorsky, words cannot express how I feel. For the first time in over 15 years, I am a whole man.
Bit ableist there, Professor, but
Yeah. I mean, he's a person who lost something, right?
sure did.
And he maybe defined himself by what he lost as opposed to what he could be. And so we should also be sensitive to his point of view. Anyway.
Charles! Bloody hell, I was afraid of this. Lalandra, give me a hand with him quick. Beloved, I thought the operation was a complete success. What has gone wrong?
Ever since my legs were crushed, I've used my psi powers to block the pain. Else it would have consumed me. Even after they healed, more or less, the nerves were badly traumatized. The slightest pressure, even attempt to stand, meant unbearable agony. Now, though there is no physical pain, the psychosomatic response evidently exists, as crippling as the original. I can walk, but my mind won't let me.
That can change, Charlie, provided you work at it. However, you're a stubborn man with a stubborn subconscious. Overcoming such ingrained conditioning won't be easy. Gee, Professor, you'll be able to train in the danger room just like us.
Note, that jab is coming back to haunt.
Yeah, exactly. Get ready for it. Called foreshadowing.
And should you need encouragement, my love, I shall do my best to provide it. And if Will's TLC does not do the trick...
What?
Right.
What?
Right.
This issue has everything.
Trust us, Charlie, love. We'll have you on your feet in no time.
Yeah, that panel and that, like, well, if Lilette, like... So his current relationship and his former relationship.
And another reference to TLC.
And oh, there's the TLC reference. And she's
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I was just making fun of TLC, but no, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, another TLC reference. I think it's unbelievable. I'll hold you to that, Moira.
I bet you will, Xavier. I bet you will. Oh, the children are here.
I have rarely witnessed so happy a day. To see those I feared lost forever return home alive and well. To be alive and well myself, there are more blessings than any man deserves. As you X-Men have no doubt noticed, I've admitted new students to the school. I apologize for the circumstances of your initial meeting. I hope you will all become friends.
Sounds great to us. One tussle with Colossus more enough for me. The feeling tovarish is mutual. And you still a character.
There is an additional benefit to the introduction of the new mutants. At last, Kitty will be able to study with children her own age. Ouch.
Huh? Says who? I'm an X-Man.
That was an oversight and an error on my part. You are too young, Kitty, and too little is known about your powers. In the X-Men's primary role of combating evil mutants, the risks are too great. That I cannot allow. As soon as we return to Earth, you are to leave the X-Men and join the New Mutants. My decision is final. Next issue, Kitty's reaction, or Professor Xavier is a jerk, which we will be reading in 2 weeks' time. That's issue 168, with our special guest, Nick Friesen, who you might be reading his comic right now called Olivia C., or The Unpredictable Olivia C. He's up to issue 5, I think. I've got issues 4 and 5 here, and he puts them out seasonally. And he's a super, super interesting and talented maker of all things. So come back for next week's episode, where we're going to read King Size Annual 5, which is Bill Sienkiewicz's follow-up to the Dracula two-parter. And then we'll come back the week after that for issue 168. Do you think Professor Xavier is a jerk?
Well, I think we've always kind of known he's a jerk. But I think first of all, I love this issue. I think it's a great issue on so many fronts. I think it's wonderful bringing up both teams together. It's a good resolution, all these things in the end. I think to then move it into a space where it's like, next up in the tension-filled world of X-Men, Kitty's no longer X-Men because she's with the people her age, is like the worst. It's not a really good. I mean, that's the thing that propels the story forward. I mean, I guess maybe they could have just said, well, everything's all good and we'll see what happens next. Instead, it's like they set this thing up and it's like, I don't know. It feels pretty kind of kiddie.
Well, like the stakes have been huge.
The stakes have been huge.
And now the stakes are
this.
Like you're put in kindergarten.
Yeah.
They're very personal.
It's just funny, right? Because he goes from like beginning they're fighting a brood queen to, is Xavier a jerk?
I actually like that as an aspect to X-Men. It's like, well, when the conflict, the physical conflict, the superhero conflict is over, now we're on to the personal stuff, and each character has their growth arcs.
Right.
And we are entering into like another Kitty arc for a bit before the next thing comes. I like the ebb and flow of it. I also love how like we've set up a new chapter where like we've got Xavier in a new body, all the new fun things that might come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hunch that if this was a modern comic book, the Xavier into surgery, coming back as a clone might be like a 6-issue or 12-issue gap where we don't know.
Right.
Like they're rebuilding his consciousness for a year.
Right.
And then finally we get him to come out at the end of that year. But now it's like, no, it's a couple pages. And his mind has been transferred, because that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And his body was completely cloned and grown from some, biomatter that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is pretty wild.
And Xavier's surrounded by women who love him.
Yeah, one's kissing one ear, one's stick her finger in his other ear.
I know.
He's into all sorts of fun stuff.
They call that in Scotland, don't you?
What?
I don't know. Feathering. They call it feathering. Scotland.
When it comes to this issue,
yeah,
the question is like, okay, is this a perfect X-Men comic? So I'm gonna posit a couple things at you. So one of the things that you can kind of expect if you're going to read one X-Men comic, you want to see, firstly, a school full of people. You don't want to just see, 5 students or 6 students and that's the whole school. Like, it doesn't feel like a school when there's only one group. Mm-hmm. But when you have like the tiers, you've got some students, where the danger room is being used by one group, the other group wants to use it. Someone's using the pool, whatever. Someone's using the facilities in some way. So them having to share the house feels more like modern X-Men to me. The fact we get cloning, like someone's got a new body, someone's back from the dead, essentially. That feels like, okay, perfect X-Men. Some emotional stuff. We get Scott gets to go meet his grandparents. Kitty's like been bumped to the, like, we got the high school drama. We got some identity drama.
Yep.
We get fight between characters. We get something cosmic. We get the Fantastic Four. There's just so many elements. We get an epic Wolverine thing. If I had to make a list of all the things I kind of want to see in an X-Men comic, this one seems to have a lot of those.
Yeah.
A little bit of nudity. Usually it would be Storm or Psylocke or someone else, but in this case, it was Ben Grimm's thing.
Belt.
Yeah. So there, it just seemed to have a lot of pieces that would make that, I think, go on to sort of be signature things of a perfect X-Men comic. Whether someone finds this to be the perfect one or not, I think is kind of not the point. But it just has the ingredients for I think what all the kind of great X-Men comics seem to have moving forward.
It's incredibly solid and consistent.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, I think if you were going to hand someone a comic and say, these are the X-Men.
This one does feel like a prototype.
That does feel like a good option. Feels like
yeah.
Good option.
Yeah, good issue, man.
Yeah, solid. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy it.
Me too. That's wild. I did not expect to like it as much. And the cover doesn't really do the interior justice in terms of like conveying a degree of story. But if it's like maybe Xavier on the ground, half Brood, half himself, and Cyclops is like standing over him, having to stop Wolverine with one arm. Like, no, you can't kill him. I have to kill him. No, you kill him. Yeah, whatever. It seems this is a very low key version, but that's very cool. I dig.
Yeah, man.
I dig it. Just to ask the question, I don't want to know the answer. Do you know the score of the hockey game?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All I'm gonna say, do you not want to know the answer?
I know. Sure, go ahead. What happened?
I was gonna say, if you were in Las Vegas tonight, it's gonna be one hell of a party.
Chuck, there you go. What do you call Black Dracula? Sidney Applebaum. Or sorry, Jewish Dracula.
Jewish Dracula.
Sidney Applebaum. I love it. It's my favorite. I love it. Good job. Sidney Applebaum. Way to hold on to that for all those 90 minutes. The newest issue of Group of 7 Comics is out. It's called Peregrine's Hunter's Moon. We debuted this one on Instagram in December of 2022, and it's in print now and available on our website if you're interested in picking up. It is a fun one for sure. I'm a big fan. I love this comic book.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And hey, if you are also we're in the Toronto area in Canada, and if you are in that area too, we will be live in person in the city of Mississauga at a comic book store called Gotham Central, which is a very, very cool comic book store in Mississauga. Doing a whole summer bash. It's going to be comic creators. It's going to be wrestling, food trucks, all things. Yeah, food, wrestling, and comics. It's good times. All the info is on our socials. Just go check that stuff out. We'll be there with our comics in person. And if you ordered our comics through our crowdfunder, I know many of you did, we're just getting those ready. We will have most out, like the single issue things done by the end of the month. The trades likely mid-July. And if you ordered everything, you probably will get a big old package in the middle of summer. So that's on its way.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to Summer Bash at Gotham Central in a couple weeks. It should be a lot of fun. And Fan Expo.
Also, Fan Expo. Find us at Fan Expo in Toronto. Late
Fan
August,
Expo Canada.
Canada's largest fan culture show. It's wild. 4 days.
Huge.
Can't wait. We're looking forward to it, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's going to be a blast. And then more events coming up in the fall as well. So
I'm not usually one to be interested in celebrity guests or, going to see celebrity guests or standing in line for celebrity guests. I appreciate what they do. It's never really, but this one, Charlie Cox is there.
Oh, yeah?
And D'Onofrio, they're both there. And this is we're both huge Daredevil fans, and we both love the Daredevil series and to see Daredevil and what they've done with him in the MCU. And so that'd be like one guy who I just would want to go by and say, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for doing that. Like, what did I do? You just did it. Just thank you, man. Thanks for bringing Matt Murdock to us.
Yeah. Actually, I want to go rewatch that again.
Which one?
Daredevil.
Like the series?
Yeah. Maybe I'll play that over the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for Fan Expo shenanigans. Me
Shenanigans.
too.
Hey, we should do dinner again, Jason, by the way. We did date last time. Jason Lowe, I was going to say. We did dinner one of those nights. Let's plan on that again, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Also,
Sounds
you
good.
just...
Yeah, I'm cool with some food. I like eating. Food trucks. That's the
food trucks. Wrestling. It's going to be wrestling. Not wrestling, wrestling.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
all right.
I can't wait for that.
No, me too. All right, I got lots to do. I got to get some more hours at the tablet here.
You got to read the draft changes I made to our Paragon scripts.
I do, and I'll get to it. I promise. It really is, like I keep saying to you, all I want to do is just draw.
Reddit new scenes, people. It's coming.
Yeah, I've laid out about 18 of the pages, and so I'm looking forward.
This is gonna move that please forward.
Now I want to do like a 2-page spread, double page thing, and as pages 2 and 3. You know, after seeing, I don't know if it fits in the story. I don't know if I can get to the action that quick. I gotta figure something. We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll play. Chuck, thanks for hanging out with us, and Sydney Applebaum. It's just the best.
You go.
It's the best.
Thanks, Chuck.
Jason, thanks for being here, Mr. Jason Lowe, the one and only. We had, of course, Conrad was here up at the top. He also really wants you to watch Akira, so make sure you do that.
Done.
Thank you out there for hanging out with us tonight. We hope you had some fun. Please click like for the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Throw your comments down below. You can find out all of our information in the description below this video. And all of your support is immensely helpful to encourage us, because you can't really stop us from hanging out and talking X-Men, but it definitely does encourage us to continue on. So we really appreciate all your enthusiasm and your support in all the myriad of forms in which it takes. So thank you very much. Chris, we'll talk again very soon. Read some more X-Men comics. Next week we'll be back with King Size Annual 5 featuring Dracula. It's going to be tons of fun. All right, buddy. Take care.
Yeah.
X-Men.
X-Men out.
All right. Bye. Thank you, everybody.